everyone, I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing start of the week. Let me know in the comments down below, how is your Monday going so far? Hopefully you're having a good one. In today's video, guys, we're gonna talk about Hydra. Now, previously, I've done all sorts of different Hydra guides where we kind of like cover the Hydra mechanics. This video will be a bit different. Recently, I'm seeing a lot of you guys constantly asking, Skratch, what do I need to do in order to build a proper Hydra team, a successful Hydra team? I have so many champions. How do I know what champions to combine with what champions, basically, in order to achieve great results? That's exactly what I'm going to show you in today's video. Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of champions in the game. And the main thing that you want to prioritize when we are talking about Hydra is to get champions that fill more than one specific role. It's not enough to bring in a champion that just brings decreased attack, because you want to have champions that fill multiple roles. The more roles a champion fills, the stronger your team will be. Now, I'm currently on the test server because I was able to scrap all my presets. I was able to do a mess in here and don't care about it. We're not actually going to do a Hydra run. I'm just going to give you examples of champions, and I'm going to explain you what roles you gotta tick in order to get a successful team. Now, this is supposed to be a collab video with Odd One Gaming, my Romanian fellow, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, my PC has something wrong with it. I gotta format the Windows, and whenever I'm doing collabs, the voice and sound, they're just not in sync for the other person. It always seems like I'm cutting them, like it's putting my voice over their voice, and yeah, it just looks bad. So I scrapped that, and we're gonna do something similar in the future. But basically, I'm gonna explain you what roles you gotta prioritize when you're building your team. So we're gonna start with the very first thing I'm prioritizing when I'm building my team, and that's going to be increase speed and decrease speed, or decrease speed. Preferably both if you can, but unfortunately there are not many champions in the game that do that and are good for Hydra. So we're gonna start with Lady Kimi, for example. Increase speed, decrease speed, but that's not all that Lady Kimi brings. Block buffs, strip buffs, and of course, you're going to get decreased accuracy, you're going to get increased accuracy. So Lady Kimi is an absolute top-notch champion. Then we have Krisk, for example. Krisk brings decreased speed, increased speed, brings Provoke, brings ally protection, is going to be a great mischief target as well. Defense down and decreased attack from the passive. So again, a very solid champion that ticks so many boxes, right? That's what you're looking when you are building a team. As many champions that can fill multiple roles. Now, these are examples of legendaries, but of course, the more we're going to go down the line, the more roles we're going to kind of like try to cover, the more examples I'm going to give you. Then you have Mother Sibel. You're getting speed aura, you're getting decreased speed, you're getting revive on that, you're getting some healing. You have White Dryad Nia. You're getting, again, decreased speed, you're getting decreased cooldowns of skills, you're getting healing, you're getting ally protection, you're getting strengthen. Very good champion to fit in this position as well. Then, for example, we have other champions like Uko. You have speed aura, you have decreased attack, you have block buffs, you have revive, you have increased speed. Then you have V6, for example, decreased speed, you have provoke, you have ally protection, and the list goes on. Nekmotar, a great champion. Unfortunately, I don't have him available, so I can't really point you out to that. I'm gonna move to the next role. Then towards the end, we're going to build a team, guys. So the next role that I'm prioritizing is having block buffs. Now, you might be able to do a team without using block buffs and just rely on HP burn, but that's a bit dangerous. A lot of times it can happen that the enemy cleanses, the Head of Decay, you might get resisted on a provoke, you might not have a provoke on your team, or who knows what can go wrong. There's a lot of RNG in Hydra, and the Head of Blight will put the Toxic Cloud, and it's gonna mess up your entire run. So having block buffs is actually a very good thing to have in your team. Now, there are not that many champions available for it. You have, of course, Ugo, you have Uko, you have Umbral Enchantress, you have Gerptek Mossbeard, who's not honestly the best option. You can run him with Tranda teams or teams that will deal a lot of damage in a fast time. But the thing with him is that he puts poisons on your team, so that can actually put you in a bad spot and maybe kill some of your team, and just make your life a bit more difficult. Of course, we have Supreme Gallic, which I don't seem to find right now at the moment, but he's somewhere here. There we go. A very good example as well for block buffs. Now, all these champions, again, are bringing multiple things, not just block buffs. Out of these block buffs champions, the weakest are Umbral Enchantress and Gerbtug. We have Ugo that brings you defense down, gives you a bit of a cleanse, gives you Leech with the A1. Uko, we already covered what Uko does, tons of things. Then you have Supreme Gallic, brings you HP burn, brings you block buffs, brings you decreased speed, brings you HP burn activation, and tons of damage. So all these champions are filling quite a few roles. So once you're gonna start pairing them together, you're gonna tick a lot of boxes. Then moving over to the next thing that I'm really prioritizing when I'm building a team. The head of Decay is one of the most annoying heads, so the best way to deal with that head is to constantly keep that head provoked. Now, if you are able to constantly keep that provoked, you're gonna be in a much better situation. They're not gonna cleanse, they're not gonna shield, they're not gonna get their thermometer boosted. So we're gonna bring in Provoke champions. Again, when we are talking about Provoke champions, you can fill in multiple roles. Molly Tankard, for example, amazing Provoke champion, and mischief target at the same time because she buffs with reflect damage on herself. Give her resistance, give her accuracy, you're gonna get the provoke, you're gonna get revive, you're gonna get a good mischief target, and you're gonna get thermometer from her passive. V6, she can provoke, she can put decreased speed, and many other things. Harima, she can be a good provoker as well. Solus can be a good provoker as well, and you're getting damage from both of them. Plus you're getting damage reduction from Harima's passive. Solus as well can become a good mischief target if you are able to build him with accuracy, resistance, damage, because he gets a shield on himself when he uses the A3. Ultimate Death Knight, you're getting decreased attack, you're getting a low chance to provoke with the A1, it's not the best chance, but you're getting the continuous heal, you're getting a shield, and you're getting his passive, which is a 50% chance for the enemy attack to be redirected to him, so he can be a decent mischief target as well. Then you have, for example, Doug the Pierce, you're getting provoke, you're getting decreased attack, you're getting defense down, and all this will help you, plus decreased accuracy from his A1. Then we have, of course, different champions, like we have Skurlord Vargal, we have Biveld. All these champions will fit in here very well, but it seems like I have them in my vault actually, so let me just bring them out to play, because they are somewhere here, there we go. So this as well, they're pretty good champions to provoke. You're getting decreased attack, then Coronar does quite a few other things too. Husk is great, but if you are relying on Husk, again, it's not a 100% chance, you need multiple ones to kind of like put the provoke. It's kind of like a helper in there, plus you're getting the enemy max HP, which is super, super powerful. The next thing that we are prioritizing when we are building a team, guys, is to have that decrease attack too. The Head of Wrath is dangerous, and most of the Hydra heads tend to do pretty good damage, especially if your team is not constantly buffing, is not constantly shielding, etc. You're gonna need to have a decreased attack. So in here we have quite a few champions that fit well. For example, we have Skurlord Vargal brings decreased attack, we have Uko that brings decreased attack, and many other things next to it. We have Doug the Pierce, we have Stag Knight, of course. I wouldn't rely on Harima as the best decreased attack champion, of course, but you have Ultimate Death Knight, you have Tomblord, for example. Then moving down to the next page, because we're going to be able to fit quite a few more champions in here. Ursula the Mourner brings decreased attack, brings increased attack, brings revive. A lot of people are sleeping on this champion, for example. We have Artak, HP burn, decreased attack, activating HP burn. So this is actually very beneficial. You have Tuhanarak, block buffs, which is great. Seems like I missed her before when we were talking about block buffs. My bad on it, but she's one of the best to do it because you're getting decreased attack, you're getting block buffs, she's spreading it, you're getting her passive, you're getting increased speed. So Tuhanarak is an amazing, amazing champion to get the job done. So we kind of covered the decreased attack. These are a few examples of what you could use. Of course, there are a few other champions that I probably missed. Nekmotar again, he's a great option for decreased attack, but unfortunately, I don't have him. Now moving over to the next thing that you want to prioritize is to have a defense down champion. Now, that is going to be very, very important because you need to deal damage. They have a pretty high defense, and if you are not able to bring in a defense down, you're not going to be in a good spot. Now again, you don't just want to bring in a champion that just does defense down. You don't want to bring an Abyss, for example. So Abyss is a Sacred Order champion, legendary one that has AoE defense down. You don't want to bring that champion in just because of that. No. You want to bring in a champion that fills multiple roles. Again, I'm going to take you back to some of the examples I gave you before. Stag Knight, you're getting defense down, decrease attack, decrease speed with the A1. You're getting the same thing from Doug the Pierced. Defense down, decrease attack. Tomb Lord, Venus, or Lydia, for example, which we already covered. Increase speed, strengthen, so many other things. Like, these are very, very solid champions. If you just bring in a champion that does defense down, you're going to miss on covering other roles, and your team is just not going to perform very well. Then, you have Mishinaki as an example. I just don't have him available on the test server because I recently pulled him on my account, and I'm like, woohoo! Super excited about that champion. Was literally my most wanted non-void legendary. Then, you want to prioritize a mischief tank, guys. Now, when we are talking about having a mischief tank, there are quite a few champions that can get the job done, and there are plenty of ways on how you can play around, but usually you should try to use a champion that buffs himself and nobody else on the team will have that buff. So like this, you're going to have extra buffs on him. The Head of Mischief will always target a champion with the highest amount of buffs. So you want to have resistance for that in order to avoid getting your buff stolen. Champions that can do an amazing job, how I mentioned, Molly the Tankard is great for it. Of course, Scarlord Vargal, because he buffs himself with Strengthen when he puts the Provoke, and if no one else on the team brings Strengthen, that means that he's going to be a great Mischief target while he's doing the Provoke, doing Decrease Attack, and Mischief target. So one champion is filling 3 roles. Very, very nice. Similar with Molly Tankard. Krisk, another solid example. Then you could use, for example, Oboro. Now, I feel like these champions like Oboro are much harder to build if you want to get the most out of it. You can build Oboro with resistance, and you might lose damage, you might lose accuracy. And you gotta sacrifice a stat for another. If no, you're gonna have to put accuracy, resistance, and damage, and it's gonna be very, very hard next to survivability, and the champion is just not gonna perform well. You really gotta decide if, okay, I don't go with accuracy, I don't need defense down from her, I'm gonna go resistance and a bit of damage, you know? So once you got sorted with the Mischief tank, it's gonna be much easier. Like the Head of Decay, which needs to be Provoke, and the Head of Mischief will be the most annoying ones. And then the Head of Blight, which will come in with a Toxic Cloud. Mashalit, for example, he can be a good Mischief target, but again, you're losing either accuracy, either damage on him. So that's the main issue with this sort of champions, you know? But it's something that it needs to be done. Moving over to the next thing, guys, of course, is gonna be support, healers. And here as well, you wanna bring in support champions that can benefit your team in other way, not just healing or reviving. So, very good example, Duchess. You're getting the speed aura, you're getting the block buffs. You want to have block buffs because fear is not the only thing that Hydra will land on your team. You're going to get weakened, you're going to get provoked, you're going to get so many other debuffs that are annoying, poisons, etc. So Duchess is a very solid example because this helps with the Head of Torment as well because of the Perfect Veil. Pythian, cleanse, buffs, healing, revive. Awesome, awesome stuff. Mitrala, you're getting buffs, you're getting shield, you're getting poisons with the A1. Even though they're not the most important thing, you're getting the hex, you're getting the cleanse. Tons of support from Mitrala, you know. Cardiel, a very good example. Arbiter is a solid example too of a good support champion. And talking about more support champions, Molly Tankard again. Here she comes. She fills so many different roles, guys. Ursula the Mourner, decrease attack, increase attack on your team. You're getting revive. If you don't need to revive, you're getting the buffs, which is increased defense and strengthen. Very good revive champion as well. We do have Rector Dread, not one of my favorites champion for it because it's not a very good champion to deal with the Head of Torment and the True Fear, you know. We talked about Cardiel, Godseeker and Eerie, another solid support champion. To Hanorach, another support champion, you know. So you want to make sure you are bringing in like some of these support champions that again tick multiple boxes. The next thing that we are prioritizing, guys, is gonna be champions that can help us with the head of torment, you know? So you wanna either bring in champions that give perfect veil, either champions that have a passive that constantly cleanses, either an Inquisitor Shamel, which is the cheese way to the torment head, or multiple cleansers, or don't give a damn about it. If you don't give a damn about it, you can have issues, but a lot of times actually is not such a big problem, you know, as long as you're controlling what's happening in the fight. So when we are talking about that, you have Duchess as a great counter, probably one of the best. Then we have Inquisitor Shamel. He constantly boosts the Terminator on the lead, so he's a very, very good option for it as well. But if the Head of Torment doesn't come in the run many times, you might find yourself a bit like, well, why do I even have him in here? Tatura, great as a DPS champion, defense up, and she brings you perfect veil. Then you have the other options. You have Tuhanarak, which has the passive, cleanses the rest of the team when she's getting a turn. Now, you do have the option here of either making her the fastest, either making her the slowest, because you gotta make sure your other champions are getting the true fear removed. Now, if you don't have block debuffs here, the other Hydra heads will debuff your team, and Tuhanarak's passive cleanses one debuff. So you might not cleanse the right one with her, and same with Doom Priest. She's doing pretty much the same job like Tuhanarak, but Doom Priest doesn't really bring you much else to the team. Yes, you gotta increase attack, but is that something to justify to bring Doom Priest in your team? I feel like out of all these champions, Doom Priest is the weakest option to the team. Then, of course, you could potentially run Mitrala, Pythian in the same team, you know, and have double cleansers. That will help you as well. Have an Ugo. You are getting a cleanse with her A3. And this is a pretty viable option on how you could potentially play Hydra. The next thing that you want to prioritize, guys, and this will be the key thing that you want to have in your team. And if you don't have a minimum of 2 of them, you're just not going to do good damage. And that is damage dealers. Now, there's so many different damage dealers for Hydra. If you're doing the lower difficulties, normal and hard, pretty much all the damage dealers will work in there. If you're doing the higher difficulties, brutal and nightmare, you want to have champions that either do enemy max HP, either HP burners and activate HP burn, either champions that have some sort of a special skill, special move that does bring a lot of damage. So one of my most favorite is Husk. You're getting the Provoke, enemy max HP. Royal Guard, defense down, decrease speed, enemy max HP. Acrisia, super powerful. Artek, decrease attack, HP burn. Ninja, if you have him available, of course, HP burn, detonates the HP burn, single target defense down. And then we are talking about champions like Mashalt, can be a pretty good option. Solus, and he brings you Provoke, brings you other things as well. Same with Harima. And we have a massive list of damage dealers. Taras is a crazy damage dealer. We have the new Void Legendary. If some of you guys got lucky today to pull this bad boy, here you go. That's a solid option as well. We have pretty much most of the champions that can help you as DPS in Hydra. Turvold is great for the lower difficulties. Newt, he's such a beast on pretty much any difficulty, and he was a recent fusion, you know. Aitos is great on normal or hard. He can help you quite a bit. Cupidus. Rotos wouldn't be one of the champions that I would put in as good Hydra damage dealers because he's single target. But mainly these champions can come in and drop serious numbers, you know, like plenty of options. Magnar is a pretty solid one. And I've seen Ronda as well as a good damage dealer, funny enough. And the list will kind of like go on quite a bit. Even her would do a pretty good DPS champion. Akempton, for example. And my god, I think I can go for half an hour more talking about damage dealers. But basically, these are the main roles you gotta feed in order to have a successful team. Now it's actually time to build the team following all the principles I mentioned before, guys. So I'm gonna start by bringing in a champion that does decrease speed, increase speed, whatever we can actually get. Let's just say I don't have Krisk and all the OP champions available, so I need to think of a champion that can help me in the run. So I'm gonna start by bringing in, for example, White Dryad Nia. Like this, we're getting decreased speed, we're getting some healing, we're getting some protection, and we are getting the decreased cooldown on a champion when we are healing it for 2 turns, which is actually a pretty powerful move. Forget about the aura, the lead, guys, because that's going to be something that you guys will have to decide depending on what champions you're using, but I'm going to start like this and then I'm going to adjust it if needed. Now, the next thing that I got to bring in my team, guys, is going to be block buffs. Again, we have a few different options. I could potentially go with a Tuhana Rack, I could go with Mighty Uko, or I could go with Ugo, for example, and like that, I'm going to get defense down as well. I'm going to get a cheeky cleanse and a bit of extra healing from her too. So that's pretty much covered. Then I need to bring in a Provoke champion, guys. And I need to keep that in mind that I might have to make my Provoke champion the mischief target too. So kind of like cover two different roles in here. And there are a couple of decent options. I could go with Coronar, Provoke, decrease attack, and he's going to be a good mischief target because of the buffs on himself. But that's a Void Legendary. It's not very likely for the majority of people to have him. You could go with Skull or Vargal. Now, the only problem is I have White Dryad Nia in the team, and if I'm bringing Skull or Vargal, he's going to buff with Strengthen. Now, White Dryad Nia buffs your team with the smaller version of Strengthen, so what's going to happen is that he's going to replace that smaller version with the big version, and he's going to have equal buffs with the rest of the team, so he's not a good option for my combo here. Instead, I could go with Molly Tankard, bring in the Provoke, bring in the Mischief target, get a Revive as well, and get that extra turn meter. Now, we gotta try to think of a decrease attack and some sort of damage from the next champion, and I'm gonna go with Artak. That's a champion that quite a few people got recently, so we're gonna take in Artak, and with him, we're actually gonna get decrease attack, activate the HP burn, and of course, you're gonna get to land the HP burn with the A3, and with A1, with the A1, is just an AoE attack. So Cruelty for Hydra is actually gonna be a very good blessing for Artak. Then, if we can bring in some more support, would be great, and more damage at the same time. So we have a Reviver, we have healers, we have block buffs, we have defense down, we have 1 damage dealer covered, we have the HP burn, we have the HP burn detonation and decrease attack with Artak. The next thing is we gotta deal with the Head of Torment while we are bringing a bit of extra support to the team and some more damage. So, for example, in here, we're gonna have a very, very good spot for this champion, Tatura. We're getting increased defense, plus you're getting an Aura. He can be our Aura champion, but you're getting the perfect veil. You're getting shielded, and this champion actually deals good damage. Block debuffs and increased defense at the same time, and attacks with this skill. So you're getting damage, you're getting block debuffs, which is very important to have on your team, how I mentioned. Defense up, which is something that we don't have from a different champion, and you're getting a bit of shield too. Now the next role should be guaranteed another damage dealer next to Artak. So just because I want to have that extra chance to provoke, I'm gonna go in and bring a Husk, for example. So Husk will bring the enemy max HP with the A2, and we're gonna try to provoke with the A1. If no, we're gonna deal some extra damage with the A3. So that's one good example of a team that you could potentially build. Now let's actually build a second team quick, guys, just to give you some more examples. I'm gonna do a team with Inquisitor Shamael, so I wanna have a pretty good champion in the lead to kind of like help the team out. And I'm gonna bring in Mighty Uko. You're getting the increased speed, the block buffs, you're getting decreased attack with the A1. Not the most reliable decreased attack, so we might need another champion to get that job done. Then we're kind of like ready to move to the next thing, and that will be a Provoke champion. Who knows, maybe even the Mischief target, or maybe a champion that gives decreased speed. So I think I'm gonna go in and bring in V6. So you're getting Provoke, you're getting the decreased speed, and you can get damage out of V6. So definitely think of that as well when you're building her. Give her some crit rate, a bit of crit damage, and she's gonna be able to put in some decent damage for your team. So we got Provoke, decreased speed, increased speed, speed aura, block buffs. we kind of need to bring in a defense down. We need to bring in a decreased attack. And who knows, maybe an extra provoke in there or something that could be a decent mischief target while we're doing it. And duck the pierce, guys. So basically, he's gonna put an unkillable and reflect damage on this champion when he uses the 8-3 to provoke, you know. And this can be a pretty good mischief target. Now, the main thing right here is that this is on a 4-turn cooldown, so it's a slightly longer cooldown. But if you give him resistance, the thing is you need accuracy for him as well. So it's a bit harder to build this champion as a mischief target. Let's just say we're scrapping that champion off. And you know what? Let's just bring in defense down and attack down from Stagnite. And we're going to think of a different mischief target after, because it's a bit harder for the majority of you guys to build it. So we have Stagnite, defense down, and decrease attack. Then we need to bring in some sort of support, guys. And I feel like a good support will be no one else but Mitrala. She's the champion that comes from Hydra. You're gonna get Hex, which is gonna be great to control the head of Mischief. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before when I talked about Mitrala. Hex is pretty important, but it's not as important. Like, we have curse sets now that can land the Hex, so you could use a curse set on one of your champions. And now we need to bring in damage dealers, guys. That's kind of like the main thing. And we haven't sorted out that mischief target. Now, think about Oboro. Oboro can be our mischief target and damage dealer at the same time. V6 can deal a bit of damage. We have Mitrala that can deal a bit of damage too. And I feel like we're in a pretty good spot. We have the revivers, we have the support. And now the last thing that we need in here is the champion that will help us with the fear. And he's going to be a damage dealer too. So we're going to bring in Inquisitor Shamel. This team could potentially do Brutal too, could do Hard. I don't see this team viable for Nightmare, for example, because it doesn't have some of the strong champions that will really bring in a lot of firepower, you know? So that's one thing to keep in mind. That was all for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments down below what sort of teams are you guys using for Hydra. Appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.